Oh, back there, yeah.
You want to give it a little sip? We'll let them get out of the way, but I'm going to take some shots of this stuff here.
All right. Looking good. Want to fill in your cup up?
Oh, right.
All right. There you go. This is good.
I only wish I can pronounce it. I only need 92 to live.
Hey, get my water bottle and fill it up?
What do you think? Take
Get my
it.
water bottle and fill it up?
Sure, awesome, yeah. All right, I'll be right back.
Wow, you look 20 years younger, honey. What did you think of it?
Well, it's different. It's not real strong, but it's not salty, but it's got a flavor.
How y'all doing?
Doing pretty good.
Ask me how I am.
How are you?
Last week I broke my finger, but on the other hand, I'm okay.
Right up here.
On the other hand, I'm okay. Do y'all have any questions about anything you've seen in the park so far?
No.
Do y'all get some of that magic water?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you thought it tasted funny, that's the magic. Keep in mind it affects everybody differently. You may not feel anything until tomorrow, but tomorrow morning you can wake up feeling rejuvenated, refreshed, be like, woo, found the youth! And then again, maybe not. That's our low tide, by the way. That's all mud and oysters. Remember, you should only harvest oysters in the months ending with R. I don't know what the big difference is between December and January, but apparently there's a difference. Maybe it was the oyster mating season. I don't know. Tide comes back in later on this evening to raise up about 4.5 to 5 feet. Look all nice and pretty out there. You get some manatees that come out in the springtime, eat the grass off the side of banks, and of course year-round we have dolphins, as this used to be called the Bay of the Dancing Dolphin. Doesn't that sound pretty? You should ask me what it's called now.
What's it called now?
That's great. But first, I'm going to start things off nice and quiet. What am I holding?
Crossbow.
Crossbow. You guys are so much smarter than the earlier group. Now the harder question is, what country invented the crossbow? See, that would be an easy question if it was me.
I would think Rome.
England.
The
Rome.
Romans.
I'll give you a hint. There's a sticker on the side that says made in
China.
Right. Chinese invented the crossbow 6th century BC, long time ago. Then they eventually went on to invent gunpowder, because they're always inventing cool stuff. So by 1565, these crossbows are old and obsolete. Everybody wanted to have a gun. They wanted to have a matchlock arquebus. But Benjamin and his knew there was still use and value in the crossbow. He got them really cheap, and he brought 30 warbows with him. And they do have a ban just here in Florida. For one, it tends to rain, especially in the summer. And gunpowder gets wet, it's kaput. You can't use it again. You have to wait till you get reissued new gunpowder. Maybe you have to wait for it to come in from Cuba. It's important to have a foul weather weapon. crossbow check marks all those boxes. These were also fairly easy to train not only the soldiers on, but any civilians they brought with them. One of Pedro Menendez's jobs when he got here was to colonize the place, so he brought with him men, women, and children, and maybe he needs those folks for hunting or even give some cover fire to train them to use a crossbow. With that arquebus, it's kind of complicated. There's several steps to it, even when you do it right, sometimes it just doesn't work. And lastly, these were excellent for hunting. Nice and quiet. You miss that first shot, you're probably going to get your follow-up shot. That animal doesn't understand what's whizzing by him. But with an arquebus, it's loud and scary. You fire that thing off, loud bang, flash a light, puff of smoke. If you miss, there goes your supper. Now, this is a target bow that I can easily pull the string back with my hands. Some of those war bows had draw weights in the hundreds of pounds, requiring some type of lever or cranking system to pull the string back. And they would launch a bolt or cuero, not an arrow, similar to this one right here. Short style, it's only got 2 fletches on it, where your arrows would be longer and have at least 3. Covered various tips you can see in this placard up here. You got some on there for hunting, some for warfare, like this bodkin tip that can penetrate light armor and chainmail, and then my personal favorite, the fire tip, the one in the middle. You light on fire and you launch it over and you burn down the boathouse. Fire. Say it with me. Fire.
Fire.
There you go. They
China.
won't let me use that one.
China.
Yeah, fuego. Alright, so how this works is I'm going to stick my foot in the stirrup, pull back on the string, lock it into the rolling. Now when I'm ready to fire, simply pull up on this long trigger and it releases it. Easy peasy. Let's give it a try. Foot in the stirrup, lean over, grab the string, pull it up, lock it in place. Grab myself a more modern bolt or cuero. Place it here to move, and that's about it. There are no sights on your crossbow. You're just going to hide your shoots, and it's low tide, so don't have to worry about any kayakers, because boy, they hate it when I miss a target. That's a screaming and name calling. Sometimes it hurts my feelings. All right, we're going to go ahead and take aim. Focus power. Ooh,
Wow,
not
he's
too
a
bad,
stud.
Daniel. It's like I've done this before. Thank you. Appreciate it. We're going to try it one more time. It doesn't take long to load or reload. Always try to split these things, you know, like Robin Hood. Let's see. Focus again. Oh, well, you guys get the point, right?
Yeah.
So you got to be all quiet they are. You got to see how accurate they can be. Even though these crossbows were old and obsolete in 1565, they're still useful and valuable then. And we still use crossbows to this day. And some of them are still made in China. Let's give a nice warm welcome to Wild Bill.
Yeah. Oh wow! Look at this
Good
guy.
afternoon, everybody.
He looks
Welcome
pretty.
once
He
again
looks
to
like
the Fountain
Andy.
of Youth Cannon presentation. You guys ready to make some noise?
Yeah.
First, we have a long, boring history lesson. You ready for that?
Yeah.
Boy. All right, in front of you, you see these old rusty hulks, these old rusty cannons on these platforms and on the ground over there. They don't look like much right now after spending several hundred years at the bottom of the ocean. In the last 90 years or so, sitting on the top of these platforms. But in 1565, these were the newest, best cannons in the world. Cast iron cannons. Cast iron cannons were only invented 25 years before this village was founded in 1540. That's the first time mankind could melt this much iron in one fell swoop. Once they invented cannons like this, everybody had to have them. Why? Because they're cast iron, they can withstand a tremendous amount of pressure inside. This cannon will fire a 9-pound cannonball about 2 miles. You really reach out and touch somebody. So everybody wanted to have cannons like this on their ships, but they couldn't. They were restricted who could have them. Why? Because they're cast iron, they're very, very heavy. This barrel by itself weighs about 1,100 pounds. Right? So only the biggest ships could carry any number of these cannons. Smaller boats and smaller ships and boats could not carry these, too heavy. Another bad thing about them was they were slow. It's a muzzle loader. Muzzle loaders weren't new, but the muzzle loader means the gunpowder and the cannonball all goes down the front. And you have to ram it down there with a ramrod, and then once you fire it, after the first shot of the day, you have to add this extra step every other time. You take the sponge on the end of a stick, stick it in a bucket of water, and run it in and out of the barrel to extinguish all the burning embers. Otherwise, it'll go off in your face and you try to load it again. Of course, that would be a very, very bad thing. So they're heavy, they're slow, but they're very, very powerful. Our cannon back there on the platform is much different. That cannon is known as a bombardetta, a baby bombard. Right? It was designed around the year 1380, during the Middle Ages. So it was very, very old. It was made out of iron, but not cast iron. It was made out of hand-forged iron. Basically, just like our blacksmith back there is making nails, they can make cannons. It's a whole bunch of strips of metal, forged welded around a metal dowel. The metal dowel is removed, and and then iron rings are driven over the barrel to hold it all together. You can see the iron rings on the barrel right now. That made it into a hollow tube. You can look straight through it. So in order to fire a cannonball out of the front end, the muzzle, you got to block off the back end, the breech. They did that with an ingenious device known as the servidor. That rusty cylinder you see sitting at the base of the cannon, there's another one loaded in there right now. You take the gunpowder and the cannonball loaded in a servidor, put that in the back of the cannon, put a big heavy wooden breech block behind it, hold it in position, light that thing off, boom, off that would go. And that cannon, with a 5-man crew with several extra servidors, can fire an incredible rate of speed of 2, maybe even 3 shots a minute. Way quicker than this one here, once every 2 minutes. So they're very, very fast. Another good thing about that cannon, they're lightweight. That barrel only weighed about 600 pounds, which is still heavy, but it's only half the weight of this barrel right here. Plus you can take it apart and move it to pieces, which is exactly what Pedro Menendez did in September of 1565. In anticipation of the French coming out of Fort Caroline up near where Jacksonville is, they're coming down here and contesting the Spanish land here. They set up 20 of these bombardettos right here on the beach in front of you guys are sitting, pointed at the inlet on the other side of the bay. All right, so they're fast, they're lightweight, it's got to be something else. Well, there is, and it's not good. All right, the same thing that gives our cannon all of its speed, the servidor, also takes away all of its energy. It doesn't give a good seal when it goes in there, and a lot of energy comes out between the servidor and the barrel. So that's because of that, our cannon's only accurate up to about a half a mile. That seems to pose a problem. If the bad guys come with a whole bunch of ships full of cannons like this, they can shoot at 2 miles. We got these dinky 200-year-old cannons parked in the sand that can only fire half a mile. Sounds like we're doomed, doesn't it? Guess what? Menendez was well aware of the shortcomings of his cannons, and he knew they were more than adequate for what he needed. See, when the Spanish first came here, they didn't come straight over here from Spain the first time. They didn't know where they were going yet. They went down to the Caribbean first, went to Cuba, Puerto Rico, and Hispaniola. They came up the coast of Florida, looking for the perfect place to put the village of St. Augustine. And one of the reasons they picked this spot right here, when they got here, they found out the inlet on the other side of the bay is only 9 feet deep at high tide. Any boat, or any ship rather, that's big enough to carry cannons like this cannot come in the bay, it's too shallow. In fact, they'd have to stay about 3 miles out from the town here, 3 miles away from the town, and well out of range of their cannons. So that's great, they can't get us. Well, what good are our cannons? If they can't get us, we certainly can't get them. Well, if the enemy, in this case the French, wanted to attack us, they'd have to anchor about 3 miles out, put all the soldiers in rowboats, drop those rowboats in the water, have those guys row through the surf, through the inlet, into the bay. Once they got within a half mile of our battery here on the shore, we'd open up on them, and at the maximum effective range of this cannon, the 6-pound solid iron shot is traveling at 400 miles an hour. Right? 3 shots per cannon, 20 cannons. Any given minute, we could have up to 60 cannonballs flying out of here. And what do you think's gonna happen to those rowboats that start getting pelted with these cannonballs? They're gonna shatter, and they're gonna start to sink. And guess what was not a big sport back in the 1500s? Swimming, that's right. Guess what was still in style back then? Armor. So they go in the water wearing armor, they're going one way, they're going straight to the bottom. And that is how Menendez defended his place in 1565 against superior naval firepower like this with these dinky 20-year-old cannons parked here. I would fire this for you. I gave 2 commands, Viva España and Fuego for fire. It could be quite loud, so I recommend all kids and anybody with sensitive hearing to cover your ears. Otherwise, if you're brave enough, you get out your device, hit record, and relive this moment for years to come. Are you guys all ready? Yeah. Let's see if we're ready too. All right, listo.
Listo!
Viva España!
Viva!
Fuego! Whoa. How was that? Was that loud enough for you?
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy.
All right, the first thing I have to say, we did not shoot an actual cannonball. One reason is, this is the only one we have. Another reason is, the Coast Guard, the Marine Patrol, and all the beautiful houses over at Porpoise Point frown upon us shooting cannonballs in that general direction. Dan and I don't want to get sent to jail just like this. But I'm sure we're quite popular when we got there. We only fired Spanish moss out of there, we only used 2 ounces of black powder. That's in this little jar right here. If we fired that actual cannonball, we used up to 2 pounds of black powder. Imagine how loud that would have been.